forgot how we started this fucking podcast. We started by saying, welcome to Bitstorm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Trevor Scott, and with me as always is Ben Slinger. I was going to say my name there.
I am Trevor Scott. Hey, folks. Listeners out there in podcast land. Welcome. What are we going to do, Trevor? I think we'll do some click pitch. Is that the plan?
Yeah, I think we are. Sorry, listeners, if I'm a little bit off today. I did spend some time in the hospital on Monday, and I'm still not feeling 100%, but
we will power through.
We'll persevere.
We will put the podcast on the plate.
Awesome. So, Ben, do you want to say what Click Pitch is for our lovely listening audience?
Yeah, well, Click Pitch is a game where we each have a random word generator in front of us. And on the count of 3, 2, 1, click, we're each going to get a phrase, an adjective and a noun. And we'll say them out loud, we'll jam them together, we'll turn them into a lovely game design. And then we'll do it a few more times.
Awesome.
So let's go. 3, 2, 1, click.
3, 2, 1, click. Gold hierarchy.
Animal command.
Ooh.
So this is, hierarchy and command very much just makes me think of like military sort of.
Yeah, I was
thing.
actually, I almost thought hierarchy and I got gold and I was thinking, ooh, King Midas with the power to turn things into gold. And then I'm like, what if this is the story of how they triumphed over King Midas?
That's what I was sort of thinking. Maybe King Midas is the villain.
Yeah.
And this is an army of animals. Because I like the idea of figuring out which animals would be like generals versus your foot soldiers, different, I don't know, military stuff.
But my thought was, like, King Midas would never suspect animals. Like, it just...
Right. You got some espionage in there, some
espionage, like, you can send some people in there as decoys, and he's focused on them, but then you got the real, like, the behind-the-scenes animal commandos that are the ones who are, doing the majority of the actual work.
I like this. It's an interesting premise to start from, is King Midas... He hasn't learned his lesson yet. He's still just loving, yep, I'm fucking super rich. Everything I touch turns to gold. If someone pisses me off, I just like slap them across the face and I've got a new golden statue and I sell it for more fucking luxury goods. And so he's got, a kingdom afraid of him, right? Bowing down to him. He's got more power than ever before. To the point that maybe that's why it's the animals who have to fight back, right? Like the humans are just cowed, pun not intended, before King Midas. And maybe they do have, they've got a few rebels or something, a few humans that have managed to sort of keep the hope alive and fight back, but it's not enough for an army.
Yeah.
So essentially the humans are working for the animals. Like they become these decoys. They use them as whatever.
Meat shields.
Yeah.
That meat shields that turn into gold shields.
Well, that's it. Because then I'm picturing a battle where King Midas like gets into the fray, and there's just this.
He's just there with a single finger. Because I just love the fact that he's just like dink, dink.
Well, but I'm picturing it as a huge ground battle, and he's just like flailing around, like just touching people left and right on the opposite side, or animals. And it just becomes this trail of golden statues as he like makes his way through the fray of battle. I do kind of like the idea that he doesn't care whether they're on his side or not. He's just tapping people on the shoulder, left, right, and center. Yeah.
I do like the idea that it's like if he touches, say, clothes, then the clothes all turn to gold and like people are just sort of stuck there.
It's only if he touches skin that
then it happens to go all the way.
So he's got all these armored people that they just end up in this golden armor that just like doesn't stop swords.
Because as soft as anything.
Yeah. Gold will not make good armor.
Okay. I think this is going like the old game Commandos, like really high up, you basically, you can set a decoy and one of your animals is in charge of like herding the humans. I'm picturing that's a sheepdog.
Okay. So you're essentially thinking real-time strategy, but on a relatively like personal scale.
Yeah. So individual missions of like, you're trying to sneak in. So the sheepdog herds some humans over to like cause a bit of a ruckus at the front while you and the cougar sneak around the back or something like that,
Well, I feel like you play like the general who is a fucking eagle or something or a hawk. Like they've got the overview
flying
of the
up in the air.
battlefield.
Yep.
You've maybe got your own moves and stuff that you can do, but the conceit of it is you are viewing it from above, flying above, and squawking out commands.
That gives a real good idea as to like an in-story reason as to why you're seeing it from up high.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's actually a first-person adventure. It's just that you're seeing from
yes, effectively. That would be interesting to view it in that way, though, because mostly those sorts of games are isometric, or at least, I mean, I guess the more modern 3D ones are just a fixed perspective camera. But if you did it as almost a first person thing where you're looking around to see the whole, like you don't do, it doesn't feel like scrolling essentially. It feels like looking around.
You're literally you're flying around.
You might have a
every now and again you can go right down, and when you're zooming in, you're actually flying down, landing on a branch, and you can then look around and have a look and see,
because it could add to the gameplay if you're essentially on a fixed path that you're flying for, this part of the mission. And then at a certain point, it's like, okay, now you've got some options. You can go off on that path, or you can stay on this path, or sort of jump between these two separate paths to get different views on the battlefield, or on the level. Yeah, like that'll really give you that feeling of, oh, okay, my positioning actually matters in this, even though I'm essentially acting as the commander to tell the troops, or the commandos or whatever.
And here's the thing: I don't think we need to actually keep this as King Midas is this is in the 13th or 14th century or whenever this is supposed to happen, or BC or whatever.
Yeah,
I'm thinking that this is sort of like an alternate history World War II where like it was or it was a war around somewhere just after that, where it's still got that same sort of feel.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like, because Commanders itself was World War II, I kind of like setting it a bit further in the past. It doesn't have to be like...
a bit further in the future.
Medieval times. It could be future. I mean, a futuristic King Midas. But I think what I liked about the King Midas imagery was just like... the
regality,
just like the battles would be like melee and stuff, because then the touch really matters,
Yeah. Okay, so maybe late 17th then century.
Sure,
they wouldn't have had.
I don't know my history well enough to, but yeah,
I don't
have
think
tanks, and I
don't think they had like much in the way of like firearms until
probably not
until the 1700s. So this is the 1600s. So I would have thought that it'd be okay.
Somewhere around there. That's probably fine. So, I like that. So what are your troops like? Because if we're thinking commandos-ish, you were only ever controlling, like 3 or 4 people
at a time? I think you've got the eagle.
Yep.
So, but that's just like your camera, but that's also you.
You've maybe got a move where you can distract someone with a eagle call or something, or that you can. You've got some move that you can do.
Yeah, you got the sheepdog that herds the humans human decoys into place.
Right. So you can't control the humans directly. You have to.
Yeah, it's
because you
can't
communicate with them.
I mean, I'm just saying that you can tell the sheepdog that you go, I need the humans here.
Yeah.
And it kind of herds the humans into that sort of area for you. You don't have to go, and now go this side, because the sheepdog, he knows what to do. Like, he knows how to
trust him. He's a trusted lieutenant.
100% Aussie. Like,
the sheepdog is?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Skunk.
Okay.
I like the idea of a skunk or a badger. Either one, I kind of like the idea of, sort of a grizzled sort of
vicious ground creature in some way.
Vicious ground creature, or even a Wolverine, like, you know, that sort of scrappy fighter who can, you know, sort of cause some damage and is sort of like your one that you send in to sort of fuck shit up.
Yep. But a real good DPS or like takes it out. Can we have an ostrich? Because I just fucking love the idea of an ostrich running through the fucking, like I don't know, across the ramparts of a castle or.
Okay, that's your getaway.
Or like if you need to get up close to someone quick, and like shove them or whatever.
It's your scout. It's your like. So that's how you see things going forward. If like inside the castle and stuff like that. And I think you need a special one for like the real muscle. So I'm thinking either like a black bear or something like that.
Yeah.
Something.
And just someone who's really intimidating as well.
Yeah. Which is why a black bear or a
fucking grizzly or something.
Yeah. Grizzly, tiger, lion even. Like.
Yeah.
Just the fact that all these animals from all over the frickin' world.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We don't need any sort of like realistic.
I mean, given that Australia didn't exist at this time, and therefore neither did like sheepdogs and all this sort of stuff. Like, but the fact that it's an Australian sheepdog, it makes
total sense. It's fine.
Yeah, 100% sense.
Love it.
Okay, love it. Love it. Love it.
Love it. Think again. Love it. Throw it away. Done with. Surviving violin.
Descending trigger.
Okay. I think this is definitely like some sort of lethal violin. Like by playing it, either the sound itself somehow hurts people, or it's a situation where playing a certain note is like setting off a bomb or setting off a, you know, gas, like some sort of something, and you're trying to stop it or you're trying to solve the mystery of who did it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's always a good scene when it's like, I'm trying to think what other movies and stuff have done it, but like, oh, when they hit this note, that's when it's going to happen.
I mean, it was Community that I go to and think about, you know,
that's right.
Ken Jeong
on his keytar,
you know, going down and he hits the button and is like, come on. It does it again and again. But
yeah, so it's that, except it's a particular note in a fucking symphony or something that we know shows up 7 minutes 41 into the performance. I'm just picturing that it's sort of like it's aimed at this one person in the audience. So like the VIP or whatever, and it's like this whole symphony has been going around the places. Nothing else has happened, and this one VIP comes in this one day, gets to this one point, and all of a sudden he has a heart attack. You know what could be interesting here, actually? Sorry, and it could go along with that, but I'm picturing almost a time loop game or a multiple perspectives playing the same period over time, because the violin playing for whatever 7 minutes 41, whatever it is, would provide such a good backdrop for the tension of, oh, it's getting close to the time again. Like we know it's going to happen at that time. And whether it's that you're trying to gather information across multiple time loops and then it happens, or you're playing different characters.
I do kind of like the idea that, I mean, we don't even have to go with the original idea that it was the note that kills this person.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be the note particularly.
It can literally just be a whodunit in this time loop thing where you play the different characters, that all the suspects and that sort of stuff, and you get to play it out.
Yeah.
Sort of as if, you know, this is what this person was doing during this time. You got like 7 minutes 41, and
it could almost be a source code kind of. Do you know the movie Source Code?
Yeah.
Kind of thing where your overall goal is still to figure out what happened, but maybe you can like jump into, because he was always the same. He was always the same person. But in this case, you have it. That you can maybe jump into different people.
But it can only be people that you interacted with.
Ooh, yeah. You have to get some sort of read on them first, because then you can expand it out.
Yes.
Like, because I like the idea that it's not just who you might have interacted with on the day. It's like if you go into someone and then find out enough information or get a certain thing about someone else during that, now you can jump into them, because then we're opening up branches of the mystery with more ways to explore.
Because what I was thinking is you start off with, okay, you're this one character, and they try to get up, you try to, in, say, the third loop that you're playing this person, you're like, okay, no, I'm going to try and actually go and talk to the guy who was killed.
Yeah.
But instead, you talk to one of his bodyguards.
Yep.
And that happens to be, someone that unlocks that now, like, now I've got a chance to actually talk.
You can only go into, it's like almost like an animus thing or something. Like if they've got a particular DNA, sequence that, you technobabble it away, but
you technobabble it away that only O positive blood works because you're O positive. Anything else, you'll get rejected by the host.
Yeah,
or your body will reject. And yeah, I kind of like the idea that you can actually go through and meet these different people.
Well, because then
sort of experience a different time period. Like, this person goes off and talks to these people, and it's like, how is this all working? But it's like, we can again technobabble it away that this is just like a single. This could almost be like one of those Hitman levels where stuff is going on.
That's what I'm thinking is there's a very Hitman thing.
With dialogue, people are going about their business and going, like, they have their set routine for the 7 minutes 41.
Yeah.
If you can interrupt that routine in some way, you can maybe cause some other things to happen. Like,
well, and I think so.
The chandelier that falls down, like, doesn't hit this person this time.
Yeah.
And
well, I think, like, giving your example of, okay, first you're playing, maybe it's yourself or whatever, right? Like, whoever you go back into your own body to solve this thing.
And the first 7 minutes and 41 seconds is you just sitting there in the audience watching this thing.
Well, I mean, I think you can get up and you can go, but, like, you can't get backstage. You can't get into certain areas. You can't get, close enough to the person who was killed, or you, at that point, you might not even know. And the first loop, you kind of want to watch it play out and you say, oh, okay, this is what happens. Yeah. Like, at this point in the song, chandelier fall, whatever it is, right? But then by unlocking the bodyguard, whenever you decide, you realize, there's one point where one of the bodyguards, goes to the toilet or something, or is separated enough that if you talk to them, you unlock them. It's like, oh, now as the bodyguard, you can go fucking anywhere. Or not anywhere at that point, but, like, you can go more places. You can obviously get closer to the victim.
I like the idea that maybe because you are so lowly as this security guard, you don't actually have clearance to go talk to the VIP person, but you've got, like, a conversation with someone who
and I don't know if you ever get, like, you could make it that the VIP person doesn't have the O positive or whatever. Like, you can never be in with the VIP person, and obviously they're not going to listen to you to be convinced that they're going to be killed or something or whatever. Like, you don't have that option. But it becomes that Hitman thing of, in Hitman, you put on a costume and you can go places or whatever. It's like, no, this is literally, I'm going to play this time loop as this person. They've got particular areas they can go without causing problems. And that's going to let you find more people who have access to different areas or who will have different conversations with different people to set off particular events and I think it can be, you have the Hitman stuff of the Hitman-like stuff of, there's these particular people who will go, events that will happen if things just play out normally. If you are one of those people, you can continue on that. You can say, oh, I saw that, they go through there for the first 2 minutes or whatever. You can follow that along, but then maybe you branch out and you don't follow it anymore, and that can sort of cause different behaviors. Yeah.
It sort of reminds me a little bit of 12 minutes.
Yeah, a little.
But more shit going on. Much broader.
Yeah, and I don't think...
And look, 7 minutes 41 may not be enough, but it kind of also does limit how much you can really do in that time.
You probably still want to keep it relatively low.
I like that, the chandelier could happen normally at, say, 6 minutes 41. So you got a minute left at the end. But if you can somehow work out how to knock that down earlier, you've all of a sudden given all this extra time now that you can go off and talk with these people who normally wouldn't have been in this area because...
Well, that's what I like about...
Like this person that you need to talk to normally gets killed by the chandelier or whatever, or gets drastically injured and you can't talk to them, but because the chandelier's already fallen, they end up at a place at 7 minutes exactly, and you can talk to them and you can now that's
see
what they did.
Compared to Hitman where the perfect level is no one sees you and you only kill the targets and whatever. Like with this, you don't really care if people die because they're going to be back in the next time loop. So if someone has to die for you to get some extra information that lets you like now get through a door where you needed a password or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's great.
Because if you talk to someone who you can now take control over, you've now got a new part of the story that you didn't know before.
It too. Yeah, like you might have to, maybe you have to fucking go on a goddamn rampage just to get close to someone who, you might be able to control. Great. Time loop restarts, None of that happened, but you've got enough information about this person or their DNA or whatever it is back in the, whatever computer is controlling this time bubble or whatever's going on.
And I think you limit it inside the game as to there are this many people that you can take over.
Yeah, it'd be very specific people.
You got your 5 or 6 people that you can take over.
Yeah,
one or two people that are like Easter eggy sort of people. Like you can have like the popcorn vendor or whatever out there.
And I think you'd make it that
if he walks away from his job, then the manager, comes over and scolds him and fires him and he gets kicked out. So,
but if you wait there for the whole, 7 minutes, 41 seconds, at 7 minutes 30, someone that you otherwise wouldn't be able to get access to comes over to buy popcorn.
Yeah.
That's not the only way you can get access to that person. You could do it via another character. But yeah, like you could have, that's the thing, you could have it that, multiple characters have multiple ways to further the story or to get access to, like, to unlock new characters. And
then you could have stupid achievements of you've served 25 people popcorn.
Yeah.
You drank so much your bladder burst.
Yeah, you could have all sorts of fun stuff for sure. Yeah, I like that. It'd have to be.
You managed to kill every single person in the building by setting off the bomb.
Setting it off, yeah.
Setting it off next to the gas tank.
I like it as. Obviously, the benefit of doing it as different characters is most of the time you're not going to have the option to just like pull out a gun and shoot someone to cause chaos or whatever. Like if you're the security guard, if you're the bodyguard, maybe you do. It's not always going to be useful, but maybe in some ways it could.
I'm picturing you rush the stage, the security guards come out, they kick you out, and they literally won't let you back in. And it's sort of like you fast forward through the whole like 7 minutes 41, nothing happens. Like so you can't just.
I think you'd have plenty of loops where you just end up in basically a situation you can't get out of, and you just have the ability, like you said, to fast forward to it or just like cut directly to the next loop, restart.
And once you've played through a loop, then it can go, no, there's nothing more when you get into this point. Like it's now set something saying, yeah, there's nothing to experience in this particular,
you could probably set it up in a way that lets you do that. And you may want to be able to, if you've got any sort of intricate timing or whatever, you might want to be able to like almost checkpoint it. So you can say, I'll start the next loop from here after I've waited the 2 minutes for this guy to come so that I could sneak, but or whatever, just to make that a bit more manageable.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Really, really, really like this idea.
The violin loop. No, I was trying to think of a better.
And even though we came up with this, descending trigger and it triggers something that happens, it's like, yeah, but they got us to this idea, and it's like
we're not beholden. We're never actually beholden to our words to include them all. They're really all just jumping off points. So 3, 2, 1, click. Let's do one more at least.
No. No, I could do this.
All right. 3, 2, 1, click. Okay, this is sort of, this is right up our alley that we do a lot, so we'll see if we take it in the same direction or others. Automated enterprise.
Lean melt.
Lean melt.
Yes.
Okay. So, you and I both like automation games.
Yeah.
Satisfactory and Factorio and that sort of thing. We've come up with some pretty fun ones in the past. So we could go down that route and just try to work.
What I kind of like the idea of is this is an automated ice factory.
Okay.
And you don't necessarily do the automation stuff yourself.
Okay.
Like it's just that this entire factory is run by robots sort of thing. Yep. Whether you're a security guard, whether you're like, manager of this place or whatever, or you could be an engineer, but your role is kind of just customary that they have to have a human on site because there are robots that go around and repair the other ones.
Yep.
But I think what actually happens is where melt comes in, the heating's too high.
Okay.
And the ice starts to melt.
Yeah.
And too much water will cause the robots to short circuit and it'll all be your fault.
Okay. So is this a puzzle sort of game where in different sections you're trying to stop water from overflowing or from, getting
I kind of like the idea that you go through the first 15, 20 minutes of the game where, your character's kind of realizing that they're kind of obsolete until you realize that you're the only one who can actually feel the heat and notice that the water is now dripping and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Because they don't have feelings, physical feelings. They could have a thermometer, but they don't.
There was budget cuts. Okay. So I'm just trying to figure out what the gameplay is because there are a few ways we could go about this. It could almost be
it's almost like a Arkham Asylum sort of.
Well, that's it. I was almost thinking this could be like a beat 'em up and the robots are going crazy as they get wet. And so you're having to fight your way through to shut everything down.
But it's one of those more close quarters beat 'em up like an Arkham Asylum where it's a behind the scenes sort of thing, except it's a behind the character sort of view.
All right.
And you're sort of making your way through the different parts of the factory, making your way down into the depths of the building to try and find.
So one thing I like about this, and I agree that I think that's a good way to go. But with the water essentially making the robots go crazy and attack you, there's some really good opportunities there for environmental attacks that then have real repercussions because you could have robots that haven't gotten wet yet still working along these conveyors and along these things, but you're beating up other robots in the meantime.
And you uppercut this one into a pool that splashes on these other robots and that now become...
Exactly, and now you're fighting 6 more robots. So there's almost some strategy there.
What happens, after the idea is that you do a full pacifist run, that you don't destroy any robots or anything like that, and you can hopefully use a massive hairdryer to dry them out, and maybe put them in a vat of rice to sort of suck that moisture out.
I do like the idea that you can, if you are strategic about it, you can go up to a control panel and fix the heating on that unit or whatever. And so that refreezes all the ice and now there's no risk of that setting off the other robots. You can get through with minimal fighting essentially, but you still have to do that. You have to fend off. I think there's always got to be a few that are attacking you in some way. But you fend them off long enough to fix the heat. And then, maybe that dries them out. You don't even have to attack them, or something. Or you've got huge fans or something that you can turn on when you hit the right panel, but it takes effort. It takes, a good amount of defending and stuff to actually be able to do that without just getting the shit beaten out of you.
Mm.
Yeah, that's cool.
This is cool.
I do also like the idea of potentially, because, Arkham Asylum, you end up with a lot of different ways to attack and fight and vary things up. If you can, I think, build stuff from the robots. Remains,
or you, as you go through, you find different things that you can add for weapons and
different tools and stuff.
Add new arsenal. I think it will be kind of linear-esque, kind of like Arkham Asylum. There are things to find in each of the levels, things hidden around from I think
you can
maybe there's
collectibles
someone who's literally been living here at this factory,
right?
And you start realizing that they're hiding all this thing
that's here,
yeah, and I kind of see them as your character recognizes them as your boss,
right. Who you haven't seen since they hired you.
You haven't seen since they hired you, and you're so if you're down here, who's been paying me?
It's all automated, baby.
And it's maybe this boss is no, we've got to destroy the robot uprising and all this sort of stuff. And you can
right.
sort of,
yeah. What's the ice for? Is that do we tie in the ice in any way? Are they using the ice to fuel something somehow? Or it just happens to be that this is the source of the robot uprising because it's fully automated and
and it's basically nobody expects the automated ice factory.
Cool. No, I like that. I think that could be a lot of fun, and I'm picturing gadgets to be able to like we were saying with the control panels or whatever to potentially alter things, turn on fans, change the heating. That you could then, create like, I've got a remote thing that if you fire it across the room, it fires a wire that attaches into the control panel and you can change it from a distance. And so that you've got that more flexibility of as you're like dodging and flipping around or you're generally not going to go for a full pacifist run. So it's like, okay, attack this fucking robot with the broken leg of another one and then spin around, hit that control panel to turn something on.
And thing is, what is considered a pacifist run is that you just don't destroy any of the robots. Like you still may have to fight them off.
Yeah.
But as long as you haven't absolutely demolished all of them and you just sort of knock them back and
Well, and I think you make
even
it
taking
so
off a limb is fine. It's when you destroy their CPUs that.
Well, and what could be interesting is you could almost have a bit of back and forth because if you really build into the gameplay ways to dry out or recover the robots so that they're not attacking you anymore, then in any one level or in any one fight, you might have a bit of back and forth between like, oh, okay, I've dried those robots out. There's still these other ones that are attacking me. Oh shit! Like water, the drip over there went on another one, so that one's back in the fight.
This one has gone back to their normal sort of activity.
Yeah.
But their normal activity takes them across this pond anyway. So
yeah, exactly.
In the next 3 minutes, they're going to walk across and like go crazy again.
Yeah. So you almost have these timing puzzles, or like, oh shit, I need to get over there and stop them before they, or dry out that puddle or whatever the different
get over there.
Techniques
lay down my jacket.
Yeah, maybe. You pull out your fucking mop. I don't know.
Hand, and they step across, and then you pick up your jacket.
But you've only got as long as it takes for that other rabid robot to get over and punch you in the face. Oh, that's
disembowel
cool.
you.
That is cool.
I like
that. All right. Well, I think we will end it there tonight. We're doing another shorter episode.
Yes, we are working on something in the background. Who knows whether that's going to come to anything, but this has actually been good to take a little bit of time off.
Yeah, it just gives us a bit more time. And look, I think we've still been getting through some good games.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us this week on Bitstorm. If you want to find the rest of our episodes, go to podchaser.com/Bitstorm. All of our episodes are up there for your listening pleasure.
If you like the song that we play at the start and end of each episode, that is the song Matt Define suffered the album Containment Failure. Just go to kuridas.bandcamp.com and check it out there. Also, I'd like it if you could go check out eldritchrights.bandcamp.com and maybe pre-order the Lucifer's Fall Eldritch Rights split LP. So we've actually, my band has gone in and put ourselves on vinyl for the very first time. So
very cool.
A very limited number of those available.
Definitely.
Only 150 between.
Ooh. All right. Definitely go check that out. So yes, thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott. And I'm King Midas, and I'm going to turn you into gold.